Okay, so here are 10 predictions for 2023 in Ukraine. My name is Darren Gerdes. I do daily updates, and I've been doing these daily updates since day 85. These are my predictions or the topics that I want to discuss in this prediction video. And before I get to it, since some of you will not know me, I'm a management professor. I've been working on this for a long time. I wrote an ebook about Zelenskyy. It was published 3 weeks into the war, and then it was updated every week that the war began from that third week all the way to about 4.5 months or so into the war. It's on Kindle right now. It costs $0 and Kindle Unlimited, or $3.99 if you don't have Kindle Unlimited. Now, with that being said, I switched gears and then I went to YouTube and I started on day 85 providing these YouTube video updates. And so I've been tracking what's been going on in Ukraine for a long time, and this war has gone on way too long. But here are my video updates, predictions. Okay, so the first question is this. By the way, I don't have a crystal ball. I've been studying this since almost out of the gate, and I have a good sense of what's going on. I did my master's thesis on the Third Reich. I did my my doctoral dissertation on the American founding fathers. So I have kind of a big picture kind of view of what's going on in Ukraine. Here we are. First question is, will the winter break Ukraine? Now, I'm not going to say this or that. I'm going to say if then. I don't think so. I mean, if it was a brutal winter, it could slow things down, but I don't think that that's going to happen. If it was too warm of a winter, it could slow things down. I think the Russians thought that this was going to be bad for Ukraine. I actually think it's going to be bad for the Russians. So will it break Ukraine? No. Ukraine has the momentum. Ukraine's going to keep going. Okay, next. Will Russia try to take Kyiv again? I believe the answer is yes. Now, I don't know for sure. I don't have a crystal ball that works, but I do know that Putin has intent to keep going. I do know that the general staff of the armed forces of Ukraine have said that they expect that to happen. I don't know that they're going to be able to take Kyiv, but I do know that for everything that I know about the Russian character and leadership tells me that they don't value their people. And so they'll take 100,000 newly mobilized people and just push them forward. Even if they get slaughtered, that's okay, because, maybe they'll win. I think that's the way that they think about it. Next, will the war end in 2023? I would like it to, but I don't know that it will. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that under the right conditions, if they have the right weapons and support of the West, they can really take the fight to push the Russians back. I don't know that they'll have all the weapons that they need. I don't know that it's going to all break their way, but I don't think that it will end in 2023, at least not fully. And I hate to say that, but I think that they'll make huge progress and strides the right direction. Remember, they've been in Donbass the Russians have been in Donbass since 2014. So this has been going on for a long time. And people who predict a quick war are usually wrong. So I think that the Russians will continue to lose ground and Ukrainians will continue to gain ground, although I think there will be some reversals back and forth in the process. But I don't know that it'll be over in 2023. I hope so. Okay, will Zelenskyy survive? I sure hope so about that one as well. So here's the thing. There's a couple situations that we can look at. Zelenskyy survives. He provides excellent leadership, as he's been providing excellent leadership all along, and everything's great. Or something very bad could happen to him. Let's say Zelenskyy was assassinated. This would be a very bad move for the Russians, because now you'd have a martyr, and that martyr would unify the people even more than he's been able to unify the people before. And so while I don't wish it on him, this would be the very worst thing that Russia could actually do, because they wouldn't be decapitating a head. They'd be creating a head that sprouts more heads, because it would be sprouting an iron spine in the backs of the Ukrainian people. I can think of very little else that would bolster the resolve of the Ukrainians more than to do this for Zelenskyy, who has led them incredibly well since the beginning of the war. Okay, will Putin survive? Here, I don't know about how it's going to survive or whether he will or won't survive. I will say he's not going to step down voluntarily. I will say that Putin has an iron will to try to, preserve himself. And so he's going to do whatever it's going to take to preserve himself. And I think he's kind of caught into a bit of a trap. Those fine Chinese finger traps where you put fingers in and the more you pull, the more you get stuck. That's kind of where Putin is right now. He can't just disengage, because he will lose his power, and he won't lose his power. But I don't think he will be ousted by a coup of the people. The people are too apolitical, and the propaganda has been keeping them off balance in such a way that they don't think in terms of doing something to actively push their leaders out of power. They've been just like used to this. I mean, there's like, I don't want to say mind control because that's too far, but there's kind of a cultural, like, we just leave that politics thing alone. So I don't know that the people will. But the oligarchs, those that he's used as his power base, they will be the key to whether he survives or doesn't survive. Okay, what will happen to Ukraine after the war? Well, they're going to have to rebuild in some way, shape, or form. Now, again, there's an if-then. If the Russians are soundly defeated, brought to the table, have to sign deals, and have to pay reparations, well, then Russia will rebuild them after the war with oil money. They're sitting on the biggest natural gas station in the world anyway. So that would be an optimal scenario. But I know that they're going to have to rebuild, and I know it's going to go through a very painful, turbulent time. Economically, it's going to be brutal for Ukrainians, but they're going to rebuild after the war. I don't see any scenario where they're absorbed into Russia. What will happen to Russia after the war? The longer this goes on, the more that I am concerned that Russia is going to implode as a country, as an economy, as a whole complete nation. And I don't want that to happen because I don't want nukes running around willy-nilly. And I want them to pay for their war crimes, and I want them to pay reparations. I want Russia to exist and have to be brought back up again after they go back down to their knees to actually sign the contracts to, we're wrong, we will pay our reparations. So I don't want that to happen, but the longer this goes on, the worse Russia gets. Now, Russia's looking at it like, well, yes, we're degrading, but Ukraine's degrading even faster. But Ukraine has help from the outside, and Russia doesn't. So it's changing the situation. But Russia can be in very bad shape after the war if it goes the wrong way. Will this war lead to a nuclear war? I don't think so. I think for all of Putin's saber rattling about nukes, it's deterrence that he's after. He's deterring the West from providing Ukraine with the arms that they need by talking about nuclear weapons and how the West wants to nuke Moscow and how we can have first strike capability and all that other nonsense. It's not going to lead to a nuclear war, I don't think. Now, things can go very wrong, and there could be a situation where Putin just says, screw it all, I've lost anyway, let's take everyone with me. Who knows? But I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that there's a very, very small probability of that kind of thing. Will this war lead to World War III? My conservative friends who are anti-support of Ukraine sometimes raise this idea. Well, I don't want this to lead to World War III. Neither do I. I don't want it to lead to World War III either. I love my children. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. But I think that the way to avoid World War III is to stop Putin from growing into Hitler right now and becoming worse than he already is, because he already has his eyes set on what could be going on in Moldova or other places. And to stop him now, Zelensky's absolutely right. Our fight, as he says, in Ukraine is our fight, the rest of the world, right? So that's right. I think he's very right about that, but I don't think it'll lead to World War III unless something goes very wrong, or they use a pretext like the missile that went into Belarus the other day, or like the missile that went into Poland as an errant missile. That kind of thing could create a pretext to start a larger engagement. I just don't see it. Okay, will China seize Taiwan? I don't think China will seize Taiwan anytime soon if it goes very, very badly for Putin. She is watching this right now, and if it went very well for Putin, it would get other dictators going, hey, that looks like fun, let's go do that. But if it goes very poorly, if she sees how badly it goes for him because the rest of the world really takes seriously the balance of power kind of thing, I don't think they'll be doing it anytime soon, because to the degree that Putin gets bloodied, she takes notice. Okay, those are my 10 predictions for 2023. If you got value out of this and you want to support my channel, buy me a coffee. I would appreciate it. Actually, my kids will appreciate it because I'm going to spend it all on them. If you want to support me in another way, like, subscribe, and let me give you one more prediction. I predict that you'll be back tomorrow, and so will I. Thanks for your time.